Measuring and plotting is an art technique in addition to the grid that will help you gain accuracy when drawing. If I wanted to guess and draw all of these dots in the right location on this much larger box, it would be challenging to guess it 100% accurately. So we use measuring and plotting as a logical way to transfer these dots into the right location. So if I wanted to transfer this dot into this box, I would logically know that this box is 3 times smaller than this much larger box. So with that knowledge, I would know that this dot needs to be 3 times as far from this edge and 3 times lower than this edge. So I need to capture both of these distances and triple them in order to know where that dot is located. So I would put the tip of my pencil on the dot, and I would use my thumb to mark the edge of the box. You don't want to be sloppy with this and have your thumb over the edge of the line or too far back. You want it to be exactly on the line on that box. So I'm using this pencil as a measuring tool to transfer this distance. So then I will take my pencil up higher, and I want my thumb to again be on the edge of the box. You could be high, you could be low, it doesn't matter in the end. You just have to have your thumb on the line, not past the line and not falling short from the line. You also want to be looking straight down with your face straight above your pencil so that you don't have more inaccuracies because your head is too far away. So then I'll rotate my hand and I'll mark it, and I'm going to mark it a lot darker than you should mark it because I want you to be able to see it. So you should have a tiny little light mark because we want it to be erased in the end. And then I'm going to slide my thumb right to the edge of that mark, and I'm going to do it again for a second time, and then a third time because the box is 3 times the size. So what I did was I put the tip of the pencil on the dot, I marked the edge of the box. Somewhere on this line, I put my thumb, again, right on the edge of the line, and I went 1, 2, 3. On the third dot, I'm going to extend it out, and I'm going to extend it parallel to the edge that my thumb was measuring up against. So since I was up on this line, this is a vertical line, so on my third dot, I'm going to extend that vertically. So now I know that the dot is this far over in the box, but I don't know yet how far down the dot should be. So I'm going to measure it. So I put the tip of the pencil on the dot, my thumb on the edge of the box. And then somewhere on this box, I'm going to replace my thumb. I don't want to go too far down or too short. And I go that distance once, that distance twice, that distance 3 times. So every time I'm making sure that my thumb is resting right up against the edge of that line. So again, I went that distance once, oops, that distance twice, and that distance 3 times. On the third dot, I'm going to extend that out. And so my thumb was resting on this edge. So I'm going to extend this out horizontally or parallel to the edge that I was measuring from. Then I'll have 2 marks that look something like this. And I'm going to extend this one out more and extend this one out more. And wherever they cross, that's 100% right where the dot would be, as long as you're pretty precise when you are marking each one of those dots. Then you'll grab an eraser and erase all of your excess. So I don't want any of this. I just want to be left with my final dot. This is why you want to draw lightly, because you don't want any of this to show up on your drawing. So then I'm going to decide what dot I want to do next. So I'm going to measure and plot this dot. I can either go how far over it is, this way, or I can go how far over it is this way. It doesn't really matter, but I have to go one direction over and one direction up or down. So I'll do something different than I did on this dot. So I'm going to go and measure how far over this dot is and how far up the dot is so you can see the differences. But you always have to measure it 2 ways. So I'm going to put the tip of my pencil on the dot. I'm going to mark the edge of the box with my thumb. This line represents this line of the box. So I'm going to put my thumb up against this edge somewhere. And so make sure I'm accurate. I'm looking directly down. My thumb is right on the edge of the box, not over and not falling short. And I make that mark once. Again, you're making yours light. I'm making my dark so you can see. Twice. And then 3 times. On the third dot, I'm going to extend that out parallel to what my thumb was resting up against. So this is a horizontal line. So I'm going to extend this out as a horizontal line. So now I know the dot is this high, but I don't know where on this line that dot would be. So I'm going to measure it this way. If I measured it this way, I would start here, and I go 1, 2, 3, but I'm just choosing to go the opposite direction. So I'm marking it with my thumb. Tip of the pencil is on the dot. This line is this line, so I'm going to replace my thumb somewhere on this line, but not past the line and not short of the line. I'm looking directly down. I go that distance once, that distance twice, that distance 3 times. I could double check my measurements, make sure I didn't lose them. Once, twice, 3 times. It's important that when you're measuring up next to these dots, that your thumb is right next to the dot, not over the dot, not falling short of the dot either, because that's typically where kids make the mistake. On the third dot, so we have dot 1, 2, and 3, triple that distance. I'm going to extend it out. So my thumb is resting against a vertical line. I'm going to extend this out vertically, so it's parallel. And then I'm going to extend these lines out until they cross. And wherever they cross, that would be 100% right where that dot is. Because logically, I just took this mark, and I went 1, 2, 3. And I took this mark, and I went 1, 2, 3. So it's 3 times as high and 3 times as far over. And that's how you're going to get that to be accurate. This can be applied to more complex situations, like this worksheet right here, where we can put dots on important locations, transfer those dots, and that'll help us draw the shape of the eye in the right location.